Today we're going to show you a video on how to make an omelet. This would have been one of your labs when we were in class, so I wanted to be able to show you the technique for how to make a good omelet. This is the recipe that you will find on Google Classroom. You'll notice it says 1 egg per person in your group. Obviously that doesn't apply to us now because we're not in school, so you can just choose however many eggs you would like your omelet to have. The more eggs, the bigger the omelet. Today we're going to do a 3-egg omelet. So we need 3 eggs, we're going to need a tablespoon of water, any of your desired toppings that you would want to put, so cheese, ham, bacon, peppers, onions, anything that you care for, salt and pepper to taste, a teaspoon of oil, and a pat of butter, and a pat of butter is equal to a tablespoon. So the first thing that we're going to do today is we're going to whip our eggs and our water together. He's going to wash his hands with soap and water because he has touched egg product, which is raw. And in order to avoid cross-contamination, we want to make sure that we get all the raw egg product off of our hands before we proceed. If you look into the egg bowl, he did a super job of keeping the yolks intact. And you'll notice there's no shells in it either. Sometimes though you get shells, and that's fine. The easiest way to remove a shell is to use part of the shell itself to just scoop it out. Now he's going to use his wire whisk and he's going to whip the eggs together. The reason we use water is because water is an agent that allows the egg yolk and the egg white to mix thoroughly together. You will see some people put eggs in or milk in their eggs, and that is fine, that's personal preference. But I find that sometimes when you add milk, it makes the eggs a little bit more weepy. So we want the eggs and the whites, the yolks and the eggs all combined together. At this point, he's going to add his seasonings, so his salt and pepper. We're going to have ham on ours, so we're not going to add a lot of salt because ham itself is salty. We're also going to have bacon, and so we don't want it to be too salty. Now he's going to prep his pan. He has a saute pan. He's going to put it on medium-high heat, which on this particular stove is going to be between 5 and 7. We want to make sure that the pan gets really, really hot before we add the eggs in. We're going to go ahead and add in a teaspoon of oil into the pan. And then we're going to add a pat of butter, which again is about a tablespoon. The reason we use oil and butter is the butter is going to keep the eggs from sticking to the pan, and then the oil is going to keep the butter from burning. Butter doesn't have a really high smoke point, so it tends to burn pretty easily. So we want to use the oil to keep it from doing that. We want the butter to completely melt, and you'll notice he's kind of moving it around, getting it to melt. He will know that his pan is hot enough when the butter fats start to turn brown. Obviously, we don't want it too hot. We don't want to burn the egg when we first put it in. We don't want to create a lot of smoke, but we do want it to be hot enough to sear the egg when we put it in. At this point, we'll look at our ingredients that we're going to add, our toppings. We've got cheese, ham, left over from yesterday's Easter, and bacon. You'll notice the cheese is shredded. It's recommended that you get block cheese and shred it yourself. It just tends to melt a little bit easier, but you can also use the pre-shredded kind too. You will also notice when we first started that we had all of our ingredients ready and measured out, as well as our utensils. That's what we call a mise en place, being ready to work. All right, his butter and oil is ready. So he's going to slowly pour the egg mixture into the pan. And you'll hear it start to cook. We're going very slowly. We don't want to splash the egg everywhere. We also don't want the oil to splash on us. Now he's just going to gently use his rubber scraper and kind of scrape the egg around in the pan. As he moves the cooked egg around, the uncooked egg tends to fill in those little spots. So he's just going to ever so gently pull his rubber scraper across. You may lift the pan sometimes in order to get the egg to freely flow, especially the more the egg gets cooked. And your egg will start to bubble, and that's totally fine. It's just cooking. You'll notice there's getting to be less and less liquid egg. A lot of it's kind of sitting on top. So this is when he would use his tilt technique to tilt so that the runny egg will run off the top and get onto the sides and become cooked as well. We have two choices at this point. One, we can just kind of let it sit and let the egg continue to cook, or we can try to flip the omelet so that the other side cooks as well. It's a little difficult to flip an omelet and keep it in one place. It takes a lot of practice. The good thing about omelets is they're very forgiving, so if you were to mess it up or have it fall apart on you, you just kind of put it back together like a puzzle, and as you continue cooking it, it still becomes an omelet. We're getting really close. You can see a nice brown texture on that side. I'm just going to see if he can just flip the whole thing over and get the rest of that egg on top to be cooked. There. Isn't that beautiful? At this point, we can add our toppings. Your choices here are to do them right down the middle or just on one half. If you do it on one half, then you can fold your omelet and make a half moon shape. If you do it down the middle, that could be turned into a tri-fold omelet, which looks more like a burrito. flip it right over the top. If you want, you can add cheese to the top to have a little bit extra cheese. We can turn our heat off at this point because the residual heat in the omelet is going to cook or heat up the bacon and the ham. They're already cooked, so they don't have to be cooked separately. And now he can just slide his omelet onto his plate. There we have a delicious omelet, very healthy, lots of protein, easy to make, real inexpensive, great meal, any time of day in less than 15 minutes. Enjoy!